Hey, welcome Captain B Garage. Just like I explained in the last video, I wanted to try an experiment where I wanted to take the intake and carburetors that I had off of this 657X engine that was seized on. The carburetors were actually seized onto the intake, the bolts were seized on. And I only got two of the bolts out. And again, that's pretty common for these engines, for these two-stroke engines. They get so much salt and corrosion in them, and then it's aluminum mixed with stainless steel bolts, and like I said, 9 times out of 10 I break the bolts off. So you end up having to drill it and tap it, and it just becomes a big mess. I've tried numerous things. I've tried torches, I've tried heat, I've tried PB Blaster, I've tried Crow Oil, WD-40, my own concoction, which I heard that if you put tranny fluid and was it tranny fluid and like paint thinner or something like that, that it's a better, formula to to loosen rusted bolts and everything, and nothing works. So what I do now is I took the carburetor and the intake, I put it in a big pot, an old pot, of course. I'm not nothing that we're cooking with, but I put it in a big pot and I put it on one of these burners that you use for deep frying turkey. So I put it on there with some water in it and boiling it. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna go pull it out and bring it in here and see if the bolts actually loosen up and see if it works. If it works on that, then maybe we'll take, I have another engine here, or this 657, that we're going to take and maybe put in a bigger one and boil that to see if it even loosens that. So let me go get the intake and be right back and see if it works. Alright, I'm back. So here's the carburetors. I could barely touch them because they were in boiling, like I said, in the boiling vat. So if you look at this, this is the Makini carburetors, and they're attached to the intake. Now if you look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. One of the bolts is this one here. This one I stripped out already. The actual inside of it is stripped out. So that's why I said, let me try this, because I'm probably going to end up mangling this thing anyway, try and get that one bolt out. So I figured let me use this as an experiment. These other bolts, this one I got, and it was, as it was going, is locking up and doing that every turn. And the other ones I didn't even bother with. So we're going to see. I mean, again, this thing is smoking hot. This is aluminum and stainless all mixed together. You can see all the paint and everything starting to come off. It actually cleaned up very nice. So we're going to see. It's still very hot and everything. But it's aluminum and stainless. That's my whole point. It's not going to rust. You put in water. I'm rebuilding them anyway, so all the seals and everything are getting changed anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. I can't say put in water, take the bolts out, and then put the thing back on the ski. No, you got to rebuild them afterwards. But yeah, let's try and get these bolts out while it's still hot. What I do is, I don't have a socket, a metric socket, Allen socket. So I have an Allen key, and a lot of times this doesn't even work just this itself because it's very short. So what I'll do is I'll take a 6-in-1 screwdriver, take the tip out, and now you have an extension with a nice handle on it. So it gives you a good grip. So what we're going to do is take this one. Again, this was moving, starting to move pretty good. This one I couldn't get off. Alright, I'm happy with that. So far, so good. Now all these bolts, again, it's still tight, but at least I'm able to get them out without breaking them. Let's try the other bolts. Like I said, one of them is stripped, so I'm going to have to work on that. Wow. 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 I'm going to just take this. That one came out really easy. I'm starting to see a big difference. I want to try this on the engine. This is actually This might be the key to it. Because I see on tons of forums that anybody you talk to with these older engines, you know, again, this engine is from 96. So a lot of these older engines, you know, everybody has problems with these. So if this is the key where all you got to do is dunk these for a little while in boiling water, that would be a big headache saver. Okay. That one actually just stopped. It's not coming out anymore, so it's all the way through. Try this one. I wanted to get the bolt down. Maybe I'll take another one out. Wow. Yeah, it's a big difference. It's going to still take a little work, don't get me wrong. It's not like the bolt is just going to come spin right out, but it's a lot better than breaking them, I'd say. Alright, I'm going to work on these and try and get it out and physically pull it out to show you what's corroded, what's actually on the threads that are corroded. Alright, so I got the at least one of the bolts completely out. The other ones, the shoulder, it's actually unscrewed from the intake itself, but the shoulder itself here is jammed in there. But you could kind of see if I turn this how bent this is from originally when I took it out, when I was doing it. I mean, they're not really hardened stainless. They break very easily, so they're not really that strong. But if you could see here, it's hard to see, but it's completely corroded. It doesn't look like there's any threads on there. That's how much salt and corrosion is embedded into the threads. It actually looks like a flat surface. So what looks like it's happening, now I don't know if you could see all the white stuff that's coming off, is when you heat it up in boiling water, it's actually opening the pores and penetrating into the bolt to loosen it up a little bit. As soon as it cools, it's going to harden again. You know, as soon as it dries out, it's going to harden again, so it's going to be harder. But from what it was last time, I do see a difference. We're going to have to do more trial runs. I'm not saying this is the perfect fix. I'm saying it's something you could try as a last option. If you tried crow oil, penetrating oil, or anything else like that, and it doesn't work, and if you give up besides drilling it and tapping it and cutting the head of the bolt off, trying to get it off, just throw it in hot water. It doesn't hurt. See what happens, you know? I pulled the back off with the diaphragm and everything, and no damage inside. Nothing. You had some water in there, but nothing really. And another thing, you know, I had in past people ask me these bolts here for the diaphragm. These 4 bolts that go onto here. A lot of people have trouble getting these off. The typical Phillips head with a flat head slot in it. And what happens 9 times out of 10, like I'll show you with these here. These don't, these I didn't break loose yet, I didn't touch them or anything else like that. But when you use just a small regular, you know, screwdriver in there, you could strip it out. Sometimes they get so tight, it just doesn't work. So what happens, get the right screwdriver, get the right head for it, get a bigger screwdriver, and this way you have more torque to do and you don't strip it out. If you do strip out one of these bolts, one of these heads, something like this, and it's completely stripped out, you have no other option. Before you do anything, what you do is, I've had many times it work out for me, is you take a Sawzall, a small blade, this looks like a jigsaw blade, but it actually fits in a Sawzall, and you cut this, like this, and you're going to make a flat head out of this bolt. So this way a flathead screwdriver can fit into it and you have a little more torque. So that's the last option. So if the head is completely rounded out, and even those easy out, you know, things that they sell on TV won't work, try that. Try getting an actual Sawzall, cut a notch, a groove into the head that will fit a flathead screwdriver, and there you go. You just made a flathead out of that, and it might actually work. It's worked many a times for me, rather than actually drilling it out, and that becomes a mess. Because if you don't drill it and tap it straight, you're gonna just have nothing but issues. But so far so good. So that's that. So if you ever have a problem with the bolt stripped out, cut a little dash in it, a little line in it to fit a flathead screwdriver. We're going to try more of these just to see if this does work. It might be a one-time thing, who knows, but you know, so far I'm pretty impressed with it, I gotta say. I'm going to try and get that one that I did strip out before. That's the reason why I did it, because I had the one in here that stripped out because it just wasn't budging, so I actually stripped out the inside. So I might actually do that, where I cut a dash in it and see if I could get it with a flathead after boiling it again. We'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know in the comments. Keep the comments coming. I had one person comment about these gray fuel lines. These gray fuel lines are from the factory. Anytime you see gray fuel lines, it means they're original fuel lines. And what happens in these is the inside breaks down, and you start getting this this greenish slimy gook inside here. And see if I could get this here quick. I don't know, where's my other screwdriver? And what happens is it clogs the filters. I do have a filter here somewhere. I don't know where I put it though. Here it is. Inside the carburetors, you have these little mesh filters. It ends up clogging them. So you'll change this, clean it, and put it back in. But if you still have these gray fuel lines, they're going to break down and clog the filter again, and you're going to have more issues. So if you have these, really the first thing you want to do before you rebuild the carburetor is change these fuel lines. You know, they're nice. They have the new ones that are the clear, blue, you know, fuel lines for it that they don't break down. And that's pretty much it for now. So I'm going to try and get this one out. I'm going to try and use my own trick with a flathead, cut a little groove in there, and we'll go from there. Alright, until next time, like, prove my wife wrong. Talk to you later.